never sleeps. But tonight, it feels like it's holding its breath. A black sedan slowly pulls up. Emma's phone shows. Uber driver. Daniel rating, 5.0. Emma gets into the back seat. The car starts moving. Daniel, long night. Emma? Yeah. Some silences feel safe. Others feel watched. The map said left. The car went right. Fear doesn't scream. It whispers. It's that quiet voice in the back of your head. The one that tells you to quicken your pace, to clutch your keys just a little tighter. For Emma, that whisper had become a constant companion. Every night, the walk home felt longer, the shadows deeper. She glanced over her shoulder, her thumb hovering over her phone screen. A quick tap. Location shared. A small digital tether to her friend. A lifeline in a city that suddenly felt like it was holding its breath. The streetlights flickered, casting long, distorted shadows that danced just at the edge of her vision. Each one seemed to take on a life of its own. A dark figure mimicking her steps. The familiar sounds of the city, the distant siren, the rumble of a late-night train now, sounded like a warning. A car passed, its headlights sweeping across the alleyways, momentarily revealing nothing, yet somehow making the darkness that followed feel even more absolute. Her own heartbeat was a frantic drum against her ribs, a rhythm of pure, cold dread. Why did it feel like every eye was on her? The city wasn't just indifferent tonight, it was menacing. It was watching. Finally, the familiar shape of her apartment building came into view. The relief was so sharp it was almost painful. Fumbling with her keys, she glanced back one last time. Nothing. Just an empty street bathed in the cold, orange glow of the city lights. She hurried inside, the heavy door clicking shut behind her, the sound echoing in the silent lobby. Up the stairs her footsteps were loud in the quiet building. She unlocked her apartment door, stepping inside and leaning against it, her eyes closed, tucking a deep, shuddering breath. Home, safe. But the feeling didn't leave. The silence in her apartment wasn't comforting. It was heavy, expectant. The whisper of fear was louder in here than it had been on the street. She walked through her small living room, the familiar space now feeling alien. A floorboard creaked upstairs in the empty apartment above. A draft snaked around her ankles, though all the windows were shut. She told herself it was just her nerves, the city's unease clinging to her like the evening chill. But the feeling of being watched intensified, as if a pair of eyes were boring into her back from the shadows in the corner of the room. She tried to shake it off, turning on every light as she went, flooding the apartment with a harsh, artificial brightness. She made tea, her hands trembling slightly as she poured the hot water. The mundane ritual should have been calming, but it wasn't. From the kitchen, she could see her reflection in the dark living room window. For a split second, a flicker of movement behind her own image made her drop the mug. It shattered on the floor, the sound explosive in the quiet. She spun around, heart hammering. Nothing. Just her own coat hanging on the back of a chair. It must have been a trick of the light, a reflection from a passing car. It had to be. Days turned into a week of this suffocating tension. Sleep offered no escape. Only fragmented nightmares of being chased through endless, winding corridors. During the day, she was jumpy, irritable. Her friend would call, her voice a comforting balm over the phone. "You're just stressed," she'd say. "Maybe you should take a few days off work." Emma would agree, but the advice felt hollow. This wasn't stress. This was something else. Something invasive. The stalker's presence grew bolder, yet remained maddeningly indirect. It was in the small, unsettling changes to her carefully ordered life. One morning, the small porcelain bird she kept on her windowsill was on the coffee table. She knew, with a certainty that chilled her to the bone, that she hadn't moved it. She'd spent hours searching her memory, trying to find a rational explanation, but there was none. It was a message. I was here. I can touch your things. I can enter your space. Then came the digital intrusions. A notification popped up on her phone. An attempt was made to log into your social media account from an unrecognized device. Her blood ran cold. She changed her password immediately, her fingers flying across the screen. but the violation was profound. This person wasn't just outside her window anymore. They were trying to get inside her life, her digital self. They knew her email. They knew her name. They were closing in. Every creak of the building, every shadow, became a potential threat. She started checking the locks obsessively, peering through the peephole before opening the door, even for a delivery. The world outside her apartment became a source of terror, but the world inside was no longer a sanctuary. It was a cage she shared with an unseen predator. Her friends' daily calls became her only anchor. She'd pour out her fears, describing the misplaced objects, the login attempts, the constant, crushing feeling of being watched. Her friend would listen patiently, offering sympathy, suggesting she install better locks, or maybe even stay with her for a while. "You're not alone in this, Emma," she'd say. "I'm here for you." The words were a comfort, a tiny island of sanity in an ocean of paranoia. One evening, the fear became unbearable. She was sitting on her sofa, wrapped in a blanket, when a faint scent drifted through the air. A familiar perfume, not hers. It was the scent her friend always wore. Her heart stopped. How? She hadn't seen her in days. Emma stood up slowly, her body rigid. The scent was stronger near her bedroom. Her mind raced, rejecting the impossible thought. No, it couldn't be. She must be imagining it. Her paranoia was making her invent things. Her phone buzzed on the coffee table. It was a message from her friend, just checking in. "Everything okay? Stay safe." The words on the screen swam before her eyes. Stay safe. The perfume. The misplaced bird, the login attempts. It was all a game, a sick, twisted game. A noise from the closet. A soft shuffle. Emma froze, her gaze locked on the closet door, which was slightly ajar. The whisper of fear was gone. In its place was a deafening roar of realization. The stalker wasn't a faceless stranger lurking in the shadows of the city. The stalker wasn't some phantom born of her anxiety. The stalker was inside her apartment, right now, and the stalker wasn't a stranger at all. Her mind flashed back to that first night, sharing her location, not for safety, but as an invitation. She had given her friend the key. All those phone calls, soothing her, validating her fear, weren't acts of comfort. They were acts of control, feeding her paranoia, isolating her, making her dependent. She wanted Emma to be scared. She wanted Emma to feel trapped. The misplaced bird wasn't a threat. It was a taunt. The login attempt wasn't about stealing her identity. It was about erasing it, replacing it. The perfume hung heavy in the air. A scent that once meant friendship now reeked of betrayal. The person in that closet wasn't some monster from a horror film. It was the one person she trusted, the one she had turned to for help, the friend who was here for her. She was here, all right. The closet door creaked open another inch. Emma didn't scream. She didn't cry. A cold, clear focus settled over her. The game was over. The apartment wasn't a cage anymore, it was a trap. And she wasn't the prey. Not anymore. She backed away slowly, her eyes never leaving the closet door. Her hand closed around the heavy iron poker from the fireplace. She had to get out. Not just out of the apartment, but out of this web of manipulation. She had to escape her friend. The front door was her only way out. She took a deep breath, the scent of betrayal filling her lungs, and prepared to run. The whispers were over. It was time to scream.
You're going the wrong way.
No. Daniel pulls a police radio from the dashboard. Radio faint. Suspect vehicle last seen near 3rd Avenue. Daniel, a nurse, was kidnapped 2 hours ago. Same Hospital. Same shift. Emma freezes, tears filling her eyes. The danger wasn't inside the car. It was following it. Morning news montage. Police lights flashing. Suspect in handcuffs. Headline on screen. Serial kidnapper, arrested after failed attempt. Sometimes heroes don't wear uniforms. Morning sunlight. Emma checks her phone. The Uber app reads, "You can't rate this ride. The driver profile is gone." Final message on screen. Get home safe. Fade to black.